Hello folks, my name is Rick Schwinn. I'm the fire chief for the city of St. Genevieve. It's the day before Mother's Day on 2008, and we're here on a fine Saturday to do some training with not only the St. Genevieve Fire Department, but we got folks here from the Bloomsdale Fire Department and St. Mary's Fire Department. So we've done, this is a structural firefighting class. We've started at 8 o'clock this morning with a technical presentation, a classroom presentation, and now it's a little afternoon and we're ready to start a live burn with the live burn trailer here that the folks have got for us. My training officer, battalion chief and training officer Ken Steiger here, he's going to say a couple of words. He organized this for us, and then we have Mr. Craig Bone here, and he's in charge of the Let's Train emergency technical folks. They are the ones that are presenting the class for us today. So Kenny, just a few words.
Not much to say. We line up this through a grant program. We've had Craig and his crew in here a couple times before for propane live burns. Gives us a chance to do some things that we usually don't get a chance to do. It's not very often we get a chance to train with live fire and do it safely and manage the situation. So we look forward to working with these guys. Looking forward to a good afternoon.
Craig Bone, we'll have him say a few words and introduce his folks.
Hello, I'm Craig Bone. This course is funded through the Division of Fire Safety, through the Fire Education Commission, through the Fireworks Licensing Program. We travel all over the state and do different training for the division, and we appreciate their funding. We appreciate all these fire personnel coming out today to do a little bit of training on their free time. Volunteers are getting very difficult to find, especially good volunteers that are willing to give up their Saturdays to do this kind of training. So we appreciate them, and I'm sure the community appreciates them also. So I'll go ahead and introduce the rest of my staff. Go ahead, Randy.
My name's Randy Sanders. I'm a captain with St. Clair Fire Protection District.
Bill Wyndham, Sullivan Fire.
Daryl Cunningham, Chief, Bourbon Fire Protection District. That's my staff right now, and we're just going to do a little bit of debriefing before we start doing the burns, and then after that we'll go ahead and start with the live fire evolutions afterwards. We've already done the walkthroughs through the structural firefighting simulator, so we're about ready to get started here. We got our hoses deployed, radio communications, our 1403 compliance issues are having been taken care of also, along with our accountability systems. So we're about ready to get started. So is there any questions or comments on anything we talked about so far in the classroom, so on and so forth? Pretty good, pretty good. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll go ahead and group one, we'll get packed up. Group two will be packed up also. Group two will be on the roof. Group one will be down below here, like we talked about earlier. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll get go ahead and we'll get the lines charged and so on and so forth. We'll get ready to go.
Craig, let's do this for the folks out in TV land. Let's give them a little, before we heat the trailer up, let's give them a little idea what the trailer is and what we're going to be doing inside, because once we get it heated up, our cameraman won't be able to get that close to it.
You're exactly right.
Here again, we've got St. Genevieve folks, St. Mary's folks here. We got
Edit this, huh?
Yep.
All right, this is our mobile structural firefighting simulator. What we do is we actually bring firefighters in this trailer to simulate a real live fire evolutions during this. So what we're going to do is
get their logo on the truck there if you do too, please. Advertise.
on the coffee. First is they're going to get down here at the bottom of the steps before they approach. They're going to bleed the hose off and make sure it has charged full with water, and they're going to check their pattern, make sure they're on a straight stream. After they do that, they're going to go ahead and proceed inward. They're going to test the door and check it for heat using the back of their hand. After they do that, determine out how much heat is on the back side of the room, they're going to go ahead and make entry. They're going to stand over to the side of the door to make sure there's no interference when they open it. After that, they're going to look from the outside, see what type of fire conditions they have on the inside, and then after that, they'll go ahead and make entry. So let's come on in.
We'll go inside and get it.
Over in the corner, we have a smoke generator. What is actually done, we have Class A materials, which is straw and other stuff in here. Basically, we'll have a fire involved in that, and that will limit the visibility of the space we have right here. Get over in this area we have a simulated furnace, which actually the fire will come out of the bottom and on the top of it and will go to the ceiling area. It is propane fired, and so we have complete control outside of this prop. Also, we have another problem in this particular room here. It is a stove simulator, a cooktop. It's propane fired, also controlled again from outside. Does quite a bit of flame impingement on the ceiling and around this area. Another entry door. We check the door for heat. Go over to the side, make sure we stay clear of it. Go ahead and we make entry. We check for any type of fires or obstructions coming over the top, and after we do that, we go and make entry in the next room. This room, from this room over here, this is another smoke generator we have. Class A materials, again, straw. And we wait for that, and it actually burns out the top and may roll over in this room quite a bit. Then we have a simulated water heater, which is propane fired over in this area here, which is completely controlled from outside also. All right. Then we confirm, make sure all the fires are controlled in this area and put out, and then after we make sure they're out, we'll go ahead on to the next room, which is right behind you. We're going to do the same thing we do as the other doors. We're going to check it for heat, make sure it's good. We're going to start at the bottom, work our way to the top, heat. Then after you do that, we're going to stand to the side of the door and open this door and inspect the room for any type of fires or any types of other impingements. So after we do that, we'll go ahead and make entry into the room. We have another smoke generator here to visit the visibility of the room. And then we also have a simulated bed, which will be a bed fire, along with a chair, but we'll have most of the direct fire coming out of the bed located here in the front of the room. At this time, we also have a rollover simulator at the top. What will happen is this fire will actually roll over to the top and impose against the doorway behind you. After the firefighters are ensured that all the fires put out in this area, they will reverse their hose line and they will go ahead and work their way back out of the simulator the way they came in.
they're doing on the roof here is simulating a roof cut with a chainsaw. You got 50, give them some more. Now what you're not seeing on the inside is the attack team has gone in, the inside of the trailer is cut up into different rooms, and they've worked their way in from the front room to the room in the rear, which is right under the roof simulation. They're coming out now, so they've done their knockdown on the interior. And what you'll see, the other part of the technical crew, you'll see them under these hoods, these black hoods here, where that gentleman just went in, and that's where the fire is controlled by both propane and with straw. So they get in there and they start knocking the fire down. That straw will naturally try to get put out with the water application, but they can keep the intensity of the fire going with the assistance of propane. So those are portals where they can actually watch inside the two major burn rooms, so that they can control the propane fire portion of the burn. And that's also a safety feature too. If anything goes wrong, they can cut everything off. They can activate a sprinkler system that will render the entire evolution safe. Let's go up to the top. On this simulation and cutting the roof vent, the St. Genevieve department uses a lot of positive pressure with high pressure fans. So you'll see us put a fan at the front door, and we don't do a lot of this type of ventilation, but it is very common in the fire service. And that's to exhaust the heat and gases out of the building. They'll cut the top of the opening first, and then the side openings. And what they're trying to do also is to feel for the joists inside, so they're not cutting through the trusses or the joists inside. It's very critical to, if you do that, you weaken the roof structure. So now that they got all their cuts made, they're going to poke those through with pike poles, and you can see how big an opening that they've got up on the roof, and that'll instantaneously let that hot heat and gases out of a confined space in the roof area. I'll do another cut simulation on the roof. Anytime that you're doing an interior attack, we use a method that's standard in the fire service called 2 in, 2 out. That means you always have a buddy, and if you're inside, you always have a buddy with you, and you go in with that person. If you run out of air, you come out with that person. So then outside, there's always another crew available and standing by in case that first team gets into trouble. They can go in and do a rescue of the firefighters. And also, if the fire demands another crew inside, then they will go in, and another crew will take their place outside. And in the fire industry, that's called RIT, R-I-T, and it stands for Rapid Intervention Team. Here, that interior crew has gone in and done their knockdown, so now they're coming out with their firefighters and bringing their hose out. You see everybody has air masks on, and they have tools with them. So if they get in there and they need to breach a door or a window, they have the tools to do that. Or if they get in trouble, they can use those tools to extricate themselves from the inside of the building through windows, doors, or even through the outside, inside or outside of the structure. Everybody is using SCBAs. A lot of the civilian folks think that's oxygen. It's not oxygen, it's just pure breathing air. And that's a 2,216 pounds per square inch bottle that they're using. Just saw a little hug given there to that young gal. This is probably her first actual burn. She's a new recruit with the Bloomsdale Fire Department, and doing a very good job with them. And I think she's getting some valuable experience here today. Might have to ask her on camera how she liked that like that. Now they're taking just a little break to evaluate their fuel load. That's why we have the straw bales. We'll get some of the wet straw out of there and put some of the dry straw in. And as you can see, that roof gets pretty hot. We're pretty fortunate in being able to get this class. The funding for these classes, as Mr. Bone pointed out, come through the Missouri Fire Marshal's office and several other entities. They are a little competitive as to who gets them and who doesn't, so we're really pleased to get these people down here with their expertise and experience. They bring a good team and very knowledgeable in what they're doing, and the safety needed to provide a good training class. The trailer that you see here, they actually made themselves in conjunction with NFPA standards for burn structures, and it's well known across the state, and they do a lot of Missouri State, Illinois, and several other states they travel to take their training. Now we're staging for another crew to go in. Of course, along with the safety personnel that the Let's Train people bring, we've got our battalion chief in charge of training, Ken Steiger. He's kind of down there. He's the guy in the white hat there, kind of getting the next crew ready to go in. And all of this stuff tends to happen on the fire ground too, where you have an officer such as myself, or assistant chief, or battalion chiefs, and even senior firefighters, if no one else is around, will take control of a scene and organize the entry and exit and the fire extinguishment for any incident that we happen to go on. We're getting that next crew ready to go in. They're feeling the doors. And if you notice, they're going in on their hands and knees, because as everyone hopefully knows, that smoke and heat rises, so they're going to find better atmosphere close to the floor. And if they actually would get in trouble in there and have to come out in an emergency on not only this fire but any fires, that hose is their lifeline in and out. You'll see them bring that hose back out, but in an emergency they'll drop that hose and they'll crawl along that hose, because that hose will lead them to the outside of the structure. Getting ready to do another roof elevation. I think this is the St. Mary's folks. Doing is they're sounding the roof to try to figure out where the roof joists are, the trusses. On the roof evolution, you can see the wood structure on the inside. When they stick that chainsaw in the roof, they're trying not to go all the way through and cut the roof structure, the joists or the ceiling joists, or the rafters or trusses, whatever you happen to have on that structure, to maintain the stability of that roof. And what we have here is whenever we set up a burn like this, you have to do this burn in accordance with the NFPA rules and regulations. So what we have to have is two separate water supplies. And what you're seeing is our 43 unit is hooked to the hydrant, and we have our attack line coming off of that, and you can see the red line coming off of that. That's an 1 3/4 attack line. The yellow line is 1.5 inches, and that's actually plumb to the structure, and there is a system of sprinklers inside. So I think, as I mentioned before, if things get an emergency arise inside, they can turn on those sprinklers and ventilate the structure and render it pretty safe in a matter of minutes. The other big yellow line you see over between the two trucks is another line coming off of the hydrant, and that's coming to our 41 unit, and the red line coming off of there is a safety line. So even in, we do that, we do mostly our main firefighting off of our main truck at a fire, but on a safety, on a training burn such as this, the NFPA requires 2 water sources and a backup safety line from a separate water supply. And then, of course, the white truck behind the two, this is our St. Genevieve's equipment truck. We have all of our personal protective gear, so all of the firefighter suits that you see, some of the SCBAs, all comes out of that unit. We can, our commercial pre-plans are in that unit. We have our hazmat information in there. We have a computer that we have hazmat information on. That is probably the most important truck that we have in our fleet because it brings our personal protective gear to the scene. That truck is the second truck out of the firehouse on every call, not just structure fires, but extrications and anything we do. That truck is the second truck that leaves depending on every incident, every emergency call we have. You can see down below, these folks, even though this is a training fire, there is a lot of work involved in there, so they're cooling off, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do a second round inside. Young gentleman you see there in the white shirt, that's Justin Donovan. He's a young man that's kind of been hanging around the firehouse here, thinks that this might be a good career for opportunity for him in the future. He's in high school and kind of our gopher for the time being. He's not old enough really to do any structural firefighting, but we hope one of these days he'll be able to jump in here and help us out. And maybe you'll be seeing him up in the city someday doing this as a real job. Want to thank his father. As a matter of fact, his father dropped off a cooler of soda water and Gatorade for us today, and we appreciate that thought. So these guys, as you see, will be going in and out of there, and they're gonna do a lot of work. So that'll be very much appreciated. Ready to do another team inside. You'll notice from time to time the smoke will get a lot heavier on the roof, and as the fire burns inside, the fire, especially on this straw hay material, will burn fairly hot and fairly clean. Once they put water on it, it'll turn to steam and the smoke. So that's one indication that your crews are doing a good job inside. When you see a lot of that smoke and steam, that old nasty black and brown smoke turn white, and a lot of steam mixed with it, you know that interior crew is hitting the seat of the fire. Again, you got your safety guys under the hoods. They're controlling the fire inside. And you see just below them they have some controls there, so they're able to keep very good safety contact. You got another roof evolution going on, so a lot of things happening on this particular, with these guys that keep the crews very, very busy. It's a good thing. You'll see those firefighters looking at that saw. They have to do everything with air masks on and gloves on. It's not just as easy as using a chainsaw in your backyard. So, and of course that's the saw from St. Genevieve, so the guys from St. Mary's and Bloomsdale have to kind of understand what they're dealing with, so they know how to operate the saw. Again, they're trying to not bury that saw into the roof so that they don't cut that roof structure. Then their horizontal cuts, going to do their vertical cuts. There again, on those vertical cuts, they're trying to miss those that roof structure inside. You see those boards just kind of fall in. Normally they'll be nailed there where you see the roof structure, and that's what the guy with the pike pole will do is knock those through, or basically just flip them up on the side. If they flip them up on the side, that'll be just as good. There you got your interior crews coming out. Kind of see some of the smoke and steam rolling off of them, so this is not just a lazy little training fire. It's significantly hot inside. There, the training instructor's taking another load of straw in so we can get another fire cooking. Evolution going on, so we'll try to get everybody as much nozzle time or as much saw time as we can get in on one day. Ready, stand. All stand. On the fan. Just been in out of there, so sitting down and getting a bottle of water and getting rehab. You may see on major fires like we had down at the En Beauvais St. Gen, our wives will do this. We have a rehab program in St. Genevieve that our wives will come out on major fire events and they will set up, little Darren showing off a little bit there. Our wives will come out, we'll call them out on major events, and they'll actually do this for us. Take blood pressures and keep guys from getting overheated and having a problem due to overexertion during a fire situation. Kind of in a little break situation. We've even got our fire instructor there taking a break, getting some fluids. When we get the next evolution in, we'll get our camera over there close to the door so we can kind of try to get some good shots inside without heating your lens up. You know, and as you can see here too, it's not uncommon both in the professional ranks and the volunteer ranks to have young ladies join in the fire department. And these two young ladies, I know one has a little bit of experience down in St. Mary's, the other one may be pretty new, and as you see also Bloomsdale has a young lady on their department getting some very good experience today. One thing about fire, it's going to treat everybody equal, so the females and the men and women have to all learn the same thing, and when they get in there, the fire is going to treat them all the same way, so you got to be ready for everything. Let's go ahead and get you up close. Come on over on this side, we'll get you shooting right. again, normally that door would stay open, but they're going to shut the door so they can kind of keep a lot of the heat and smoke in. And you see the first gentleman came out from under his hood. That's kind of the first evolution they do there. Now the gentleman here has the control of the fire here on the second hood. So they're going into the second room there. And then when they get to the third evolution, the man under the hood here, he's controlling the fire over there. So if they're doing everything right, pretty much their fire won't last too long. But if they're getting in there and they're not doing what the instructor's telling them, or they're not doing quite what they're supposed to, they can keep that fire going long enough to get that experience. So you get in there and you do the proper job, the right job the first time, you got a pretty good day. If you get in there and kind of mess up, they can keep that fire going. You could have a real bad day in there sometimes. Again, from the ground here, we got our evolution going on the roof. We're going to bring you down here and open this door so you can kind of see the bed box inside there. We actually have a simulated bed in there. And you see they did a good job in there. What you maybe not been able to see is there actually is a certain pattern that they teach you how to use that hose inside the structure. Straight streams and short bursts in the ceiling and cool the ceiling down. And then kind of a Z pattern or a T pattern when they're working from the ceiling to the floor. And I hope you're able to see that fire in there. That was pretty cool. Normally all that was going to be smoke, but because we opened the door, these guys kind of got a little bit of a break on the smoke situation. But we opened the door so you folks could see. Hopefully you got that on camera. That was pretty good. Now what you can hear is a bell going off in there. One of the firefighters has a low tank of air, and that's an alarm that tells them this tank's low. So once you get the alarm going off on your air mask, you should curtail what you're doing and start getting out. Now, if you go back through the first door here, this crew is going to be coming back out the front door here. Keep pulling hose. See this one gentleman here with the bell going on. You know, he's used up his air, but being that bell is still going off, he still has enough air to breathe and to get out of that structure.
nozzle all the way. Mark your pattern down, whether that's the T or the Z. Mark it down when you get to the bottom, shut it off. Okay? You shouldn't have that nozzle open more than 2-3 seconds at a time. Start at the top, work your way down. As soon as you get to the bottom, shut it off. Look at what you got. If you need it again, do the same thing. Top to bottom. Okay? Let's continue that pattern until you know the fire's out. Okay?
Got your air pump a little loose for me too. I'd wear it a little bit tighter because if you get in the bottom, it shows up on the lose it inside. Good? Guys, there's some beverages over there, so or dinner or something. Get yourself some liquor. Gentlemen, what you thought about that? How long you been on the fire department?
I've been on the fire department, what, about 2 months? 4 months.
4 months?
It was my first time in a live burn. It was pretty intense. It was warm and scary, you couldn't see, but it was very, very exhilarating. You know, your adrenaline's pumping, and it was awesome. I can't wait to do it again. So
You did good. You did good. They have to do in preparation. They have to have that nozzle is a combination nozzle that can open up into a fog or stay down into a straight stream. For this application, they want it in a straight stream, so you got to know where that pattern is before you go in. They bleed that hose outside. No air in the hose. You don't want to go in there and need to use that hose right away and have air come out of it. So they want to have that water at the nozzle. Let's get you over here again so you can watch your hose step across. There you go. All right, right about there. Okay, they're going to close the door here. We're going to try to put the camera under one of these hoods and see if we can actually see what the safety officer's doing here. So I hope this works.
Could you see any of that?
Oh yeah.
I don't know where's. I'll wait till they're not in here yet. I believe she's coming out. We'll catch the next one.
Okay.
We'll get him some more. This way came out. So.
Now again, this is first time for some of these folks being in a live burn, so. What we'll do is we'll shut this up and we're gonna heat it up again and get ready for another crew. Oh yeah. Absolutely, you're right. Ready? I'm back up. Tags that are kind of hanging under the step there on that side. This is what's called our accountability system. If you walk over here, I'll show you what that is. This is the accountability system that the training program is using. And all over the county, you'll see guys with tags on the back of their helmets. That's our accountability system. And everybody has a tag assigned to them. Those tags in St. Genevieve will go in our van so we know who's on scene. We're using this for the training so that everybody goes in, has a tag, so we know who's inside and who's outside. Here again in St. Genevieve, we have a dual system to where we have these on the side of our coats here on a Velcro system. So we use positive pressure ventilation. This fan normally we'll set at the door and we'll open up the back of the building, start this fan up and start blowing the smoke out as our attack team is going inside. We're not using that today, but when we have an attack team go inside, usually the officer at the door will take these tags and stick them on that fan. That way we know those two guys, 7113 and 7107, are inside. Whenever they come out, they're instructed to put that back on their shoulder, so then we know they're out of the building. So firefighter accountability is very strong across the nation, and everybody has sort of the same but a little bit different wrinkle on their accountability system. But you'll see tags and you'll see Velcro and stuff all across the nation for these guys doing accountability. Okay, let's get back over in position. Step over there, you go. We got it for a backup team to get dressed up. This team's under air and ready to go in. This is Tim Heller on the nozzle and Stan Schwinn as the backup man. The instructor is the third guy in line. Line up and down. There we go. Put some muscle to it, Jimmy. See, they're getting in there, they're applying a straight stream of water on the ceiling to cool that ceiling down. Once they cool that ceiling down, then they can actually start putting out or looking for the seat of the fire. Here again, that safety officer here under the hood can control the fire in and out of there, so they can give him as much or as little fire as he thinks they can handle. Now they've gone to the next station. Let's see if we can get under the hood there and take a peek with. Oh yeah.
Tim.
Okay, here we got firefighter Tim Heller and Captain Stan Schwent, and we pretty much, you can tell you Tim's got a pretty good eating grin on his face there, but we pretty much followed you guys through. We had the camera under the hoods too to see you go through there, so we pretty much got you documented on camera. Timmy, what do you think about that?
I'll tell you what, that's some really good training. It was pretty intense. I think everybody should have to go through something like that. Pretty neat.
Really far, realistic. It's we got it in there where you can't hardly see where you're at. You got to look for the fire, and you got to put the wet stuff on the red stuff.
That'll work. That'll work. Good job, Stan.
Thanks, guys.
He's fairly new, and you're a little bit more experienced.
I'm gonna go first, and then we'll switch off to the back.
Okay, that's great. Good plan. Good plan. Okay. Second person back. Watch around us, behind us, all around us. Remember, you make sure to communicate with them. Tell them exactly what you're seeing. Okay. Help them out. It's a team effort, right? Communicate. All right, let's go.
You guys back there.
Okay? All right?
Nobody got hurt.
No one got hurt. That's the main thing. We don't have any injuries during training, and that's pretty obvious. Okay? What went right? Lots of things. Like I said, great techniques, great skills, great teamwork, great communication. We didn't have to stand around and wait for you guys to get organized. You guys were organized, ready to go. So our hats off to you. Good job on that, especially on the instant command. You know, Chief, Deputy Chief do a great job. I can see down there, of course, organized and keep things together. So anybody have any comments or anything we could do better, or we need to work as a team to do better?
Make it harder.
That's a normal thing, yeah. Pretty controlled for the most part. You know, anybody have a little heat in there? Got a little heat? Okay. How was our fire tactics? No, pretty good. You guys did a pretty good job. Straight stream pretty much everything. Sharp burst. You know, we can work on that a little bit. Just because we got fire in front of us with LP, of course, we want to keep the water on. But, you know, Class A material is not always like that. So we need to do our sharp burst. So we got the thermal layering. But you guys did an excellent job as far as all that. Less than 500 gallons total.
Right at 5.
Right at 5. That was good. Good. Chief, comments?
From just the look on everybody's faces when they came out of there, it looks like you had one hell of a workout, and that's the deal with training. I'm going to say, in my experience in being a training officer and following Kenny and our training up here, I haven't been in many fires that are much tougher than the training that we put on. And I challenge you guys in the other departments, your training officers there, to do the same thing. You get familiar with your equipment. I know we've got some new folks that have been through this today, did a great job, but get more familiar with your equipment. Like I said, like I said earlier, you know, we only train once or twice a month. Get back to the firehouse on every week and slam those doors. Figure out what's in your trucks, how to use that stuff. Get more familiar with it. It's going to give you more confidence when you're going in. And whenever you're carrying that baby out of that house, that'll be when it's worth it. When you're saving somebody's property and they come back and say, hey, thank you, you saved this heirloom that my grandmother gave me, that's going to be all worth it. That's why we do this thing. We sure don't do it for the great big paychecks we get as volunteers, right?
You don't get paid?
How about a comment from my training officer, Ken?
First of all, thank everybody here for a good, hard day's work. It doesn't go without you guys coming in here and putting the effort. It takes time from your schedule to come in here, so we appreciate that. Big thing of it is not only are we learning what to do here, but by saving these guys, we work on our PR too. If you look at the city of St. Genevieve, we've been able to accomplish a lot of things the last few years. A lot of it is because we have the support of the public. And we get the support of the public by doing a good job at what we do. So that's a big part of it, learning our job, doing it well. I want to thank these guys. This is the third or fourth time we've had them over here for trainings, and every time they just come, they do an excellent job, put on a good program. And you're probably going to get an application for another one here right shortly. As far as the programs put together, I want to thank the people that fund these government grants, because small departments like this can't afford to put on live fire trainings like this. With all the rules and regulations now, even if somebody gives us a house, it's not practical for us to get it ready and do a live burn. So this is the only way we can really get practice other than going out and working actual fires. This is the only way to do it and do it safely. So the program these guys have implemented is to be commended and needs to be funded as long as possible, because that's the only way that small departments can afford to do it and get good training. So thank you guys.
I'd like to say thank you for Ken for putting this on. I think everybody should give him a hand.
How about a comment? Rick Drury is the assistant chief out of Bloomsdale. We had a couple of those folks. Rick, what do you guys think?
It was a good training day. You know, we have less training than you guys do because of our area and our guys we got. Carrie, this was her first time in. She only been with us a few months. And they were great with her. They took her time with her. They did a good job on her. I see some things I got to do with her now to get her set up a little bit better. But this is not my first round with you guys. So you've done well. That's why I came back. I knew you were coming back. Next time I'm going to have more guys. Kind of slipped up on me.
Carrie, did you have fun?
I did.
All right, good. Scott Cooper, I'm sorry. Scott Scooper. Scott Cooper here is the chief down in St. Mary's. Scott, how about a few words?
Well, we enjoyed it. We got a lot of new firefighters in our department that needed some training, and we appreciate the invitation to come up here and do the training, because we don't get a whole lot of training down there. So it's always nice to kind of get together with all the other fire departments, and we appreciate them coming out and putting this on for us. And I think everybody had a good time and learned quite a bit and kind of learned what you need to work on. And so did I. And I think it was pretty intense there a couple times. It was fun. You don't get to do that every day. So it's all about.
We'd, one quick thing, I'd like to thank the Division of Fire Safety through the Education Commission for funding this. This is through the Fireworks Licensing Program, and that is critical as far as the training around the country, around the Missouri, of course, for us getting training out here to you guys. And they're nice enough to fund us, and we appreciate it, and we will continue to work harder for you guys and try to get you some other trainings and other things that we think you guys need, and we've heard that you guys need one way or another. So we're going to try to continue to keep moving forward. That's what we're trying. Thanks, guys.
Again, one last thanks to Craig and his folks here. Where's our other guys here? There's two here, one here. Where's our...
He's back here hiding.
Back here hiding. Again, guys, we appreciate you coming down. You're welcome in St. Genevieve. Anytime you get into town, sure enough, stop by and say hi to us. And I can't express my sentiments any better than Craig did as far as the training that's coming from the Division of Fire Safety. Folks, if you guys are ever get a hold of this video, we very much appreciate it down here in rural Missouri. So how about a nice hand for our instructors today? Right? Good job. I said that. Actually, Justin over there, the guy in the cool sunglasses, he's a youngster that is hanging around the firehouse, and his father donated that to us today. God dang it, not Rick, but Bob Donovan. So we appreciate that. Thank Bob for that, and maybe one of these days you'll see Justin in one of these dirty uniforms. So,
Having a good time.
we're having a good time. We appreciate that. Okay.
I just want to say on behalf of myself and the other instructors, job well done today.
Thank you.
Good job.
The only problem with training is if you look around, now we got to clean this mess up and then go home tonight. So let's get that. Thanks again.